Hello, everybody. How are we all doing this fine evening? Before I properly start talking, just to make sure
The world has become increasingly aware of
we're
sustainability.
going to be crypto, that's CRYPTO. If you can said commentating over today's fun time. This wonderful Tuesday night. A little bit cloudy, wet and moist. Indeed it is. So, as you can see, we are at the first of two brand new trips for this game. Qatar, which is fun fact about Qatar is if you go on the map of the game, you actually look at the two track maps of the circuit and the ring. They've actually got the same track map, and it is. This is the same template. And they will be the key drivers well, deciding today's championship order because if they say Kenzie has a fantastic opportunity into the top of the standings as well. The last time so just this flying lap. It's a quick. Oh, there was contact there. But Kenzie will be the first to settle up jump under. It's a very long dash to the straight, and it's a 1:22.6. Right, let's jump on board then with the which driver? Evan Annihilator over here has just gone off the first sector as the Red Bull driver. One of second place in the standings, but from what track we see consistent. I'm just going to pause. I've just been notified of some, what's it called, setting issues. I'm just going to fix those a minute. Am I coming through loud and clear? As Kevin Annihilator that goes second fastest there with a 22.7. Right, let's jump on board with the McLaren. Oh, someone run wide there. I think that is Magnetic. Unfortunately, going off there. And Emma Payne has done a great lap there with a 22.7, but just a little bit faster than Kev's. But Norton has gone fastest. This is very impressive with a 22.3. A stalwart of the league is Norton, and I'm sure they'll be very proud with that lap time. I know I am. Right, there's a Ferrari on a run, which means that is Azure. today around the Qatar circuit. As you may notice, it's quite a fast-paced lap, but very narrow, as they've invalidated. So it looks like that if we find someone who is on a run, Ben is on a run. Unfortunately, was involved in a collision there at turn 1 last time out, so wasn't really able to have a proper race and show their potential. What are they going to put on the table today? It is the new fastest lap time with a 1:22.1. What a stellar lap time. And I'm sure they will be proud as another car is coming off. I think the Haas of Hepski's not on a run, so let's join with a driver who is on a run, ideally, if we can find one. Let's have a little look at who may be. Ah, that's right. Just got to ignore my car. I was a bit of a dum-dum, I'll be honest. I did a bit of a stupid manoeuvre there. But Azure is on a run, I believe. So ignore my presence in this race. The session started literally just as I got in to press the Y button in time. As I've learnt the new ways of setting up a Twitch stream have changed since I last did this. So again, just living and learning. That's all you can do in life. There's a yellow flag in Sector 2, but I think it's just the Red Bull over the Mercedes through. Azure's times, let's see how good they are as they're going to come to the line now, getting a nice slipstream from the Williams. Azure goes up to 6th fastest there with a 22.8. That is not a bad run at all. Meanwhile, I think it's Peach on the Mercedes is not on a run at the moment, so I think we will go on board with the McLaren number 40 of Mantis. Again, another league stalwart, been around the blocks for quite a while has Mantis. The time they need to beat is a 22.1. Here at HTR, we only have one qualifying session, the short one, which runs for approximately 20 minutes. And the drivers have only so many pairs of tyres, depending on what mode they've selected. It can be 4 softs for quali, but it can also be just 2, with a couple of mediums and hards, depending on the setting they've gone for. And within that time, which we've just crossed over into the halfway point, like Mantis is doing now, provisionally setting the fastest sectors possible, so all drivers can start from pole position. So in that case, Kenzie's jumped up, a Red Blue Seb has gone up into 4th there with a very solid 22.6, only 14,000 shy of Kenzie. I'm sure that's going to give him a lot of confidence considering Kenzie is the provisional championship leader, but Sector 2 wasn't as strong from Mantis there, so I'm sure this will still be a really quick lap, but their teammate has definitely set the corner. Oh, and a bit of snap there. They were very skilled in order to save the car, but that was a snap, and I think that's going to cost them a few tenths. Let's see, as Mantis is coming into the line. It's a very long straight at Qatar, but it's a 22.8, and I think they're going to be gutted because they could have been 3rd in this queue of drivers. Meanwhile, the Aston Martin is on a run, and Kenzie has found approximately half a second, so this could be a lap time that could stick the Aston on the pole position. Coming round the final corner through the much longer than you think straight, there's a Red Bull leaving the pit lane as well, that's still getting in the way. It is provisional pole for the Aston Martin Aramco Cognizant Formula 1 team driver in Kenzie Cool there, breaking into the 1:29s with a 1:29, 21.9, I should apologise. A brilliant lap there from the Aston Martin driver, proving why they are the current championship leader. Meanwhile, there is a Mercedes on a run, and I think it is not Desert 10. So, the next opportunity will be perhaps the Red Bull, I think, but they're on an out lap, so maybe the Haas, who is on a flying lap and has through Sector 1. Or maybe the last lap time. I think it was probably the last lap time, yeah. It was. They did go Pepsi half a second up. Meanwhile, I think Peach was on that run. So everybody now after my very high in-depth analysis, is clearly just going out now, warming up the tyres. It's quite a short track, so it is possible to do 2 runs in qualifying if you wanted to. I'm not saying it's the fastest, but it changes things a little bit when you've got so much time, and I think everybody now is going to go for their second, well, runs of the session. So Kenzie's done theirs. What's Ben gonna do? I think we're gonna go on board with if the Mercedes is gonna do one. I think they are, because Pepsi is pulling in. So the spotlight will now be on Pichel. They have set a 36.6, which I think is not a representative lap time. Maybe it was more of a installation lap time there. And as such, we are now going to see them fly through the first sector in George Russell's car. The way you can tell is by looking at the halo colour strip. If it's that yellow that this game loves, it is Lewis Hamilton's car. If it's the dark blue, it is George Russell's. But a very confident line in 5th gear to get the traction braking down. A little bit of turning while braking and a lock-up, but they are going faster. But I don't quite think it'll be fast enough, but it is encouraging. Maybe they had a spin in sector 2 or 3, which, costed them. But so far they're looking confident. Yep, nice use of the curves there for Pichel. As they are driving through, this is a very tricky one. You really want to keep your foot to the floor throughout this complex, only braking at this one ever so slightly, just to get the rotation, but they've kept it in 7th. They now flick the car into 6th gear and down the next straight, braking, and turn the car, getting a nice rotation on the exit. With the DRS open, Pichel could be on for a solid time here in the mid-table. It's 4th place, very good lap time there of a 1:22.3. The McLaren lets it through. Meanwhile, I think a Williams is on a run, Magnetic is on a run, and this time we'll put them in the 2nd place, also going into the 1:21 mark there, with a 21.9 for Magnetic. Fantastic stuff from the Williams driver. Their teammate invalidated their run. Kevin Annihilator, I think, had a little slide or something on their run, and they are 9/10 down through the sector. Okay. So next up is Pilu, but they have invalidated their run, and as Magnetic spun, I just wanted to confirm that Magnetic went by 4 thousandths off from a second faster. That was genuinely some impressive stuff. They are very close to taking pole. I'd like to know your predictions, but I think the Williams duo are quite likely to lock out the front row, and there's definitely enough time for these drivers to guard and get one more run in. So I think there is a flying run going on at the moment. The Red Blue Seb was as high as 4th in the session, rocking the number 3, famous from Daniel Ricciardo. They are up by a 10th after going through sector 1. That should put the Aston Martins, they're a little bit close to the Aston Martins, I should say. There's the Alfa Romeo driver here. He's got some good confidence through this corner. This one's one of the tricky ones, but they're putting it into a lower gear, opting for basically more turning at the cost of acceleration and car momentum, basically, the cost of speed. But nice through these right-handers. And now it's just be a quick flick, keeping it in 7th, no downshift to 6th this time. I think that's caused by how slow that engine went there. But let's see, I think this will be enough to extend their advantage. Red Blue Seb's got the DRS open the flap to the line. It's pole position, never mind what I just said, a 1:21.8. A fantastic lap time from the Alfa Romeo, and that will see the maroon and black machine on pole position only by a few tenths. That is just insane numbers. Meanwhile, we have got Mantis on a run here, who's a little bit slow. We've got the Ferrari on an outlap, and we've got the Haas as well on an outlap, which is sadly invalidated for them. I think Kenzie Cool invalidated their run, but they are about 2/10 off at the moment. They are pushing, I think. I think they could push it. No, they're not. They've backed off. Oh, a bit of a slide there from Kenzie. Right, the Red Bull is on an outlap. One of the Williams is. So everybody is getting ready now to start their final runs in the heart of qualifying. And this is going to be some really intense stuff because basically it's a case of just pedal to the metal now. This is it. There is only 1 minute 45 in the session. Given the lap times that we're seeing from the circuit, there is not really any other opportunity to set a fast run for these drivers, and Pepsi was the first to cross the line. So at the moment they are sitting at the bottom end of the field, 13 out of 13. I've got no messages yet. But at the moment, if they could just find a few tenths, as Pilu is not going to go out, I don't believe. It is too late for them to set a time. Kenzie was on a push run, but had a little bit of a wobble through Sector 1 and lost about 2/10. So at the moment, Red Blue Seb is on provisional pole, but I'm sure everyone behind these two will have something to say about that. First of all, I think there may be another on a warm-up lap, as is the sole Red Bull in this race. So, Pepsi will be coming around the final corner, takes a nice wide arc, puts the power down. Mantis has retired from the session. It's a bit of a longer straight at Qatar, and it's 12th place. That's brilliant stuff from Pepsi. They have now improved their time quite substantially. Starting last as the drivers are crossing the line now. Azure is retired from the session, and it looks like Norton and Pichel will be the last ones. So we will go on board with Desert, who is a 10th down through the first sector. And coming through the second sector, they are down, but it is the fastest overall. So the wobble they had in Sector 1 clearly costed them too much time, but they are going fastest through the whole sector of the lap. Remember, all drivers need to be a 1:21.880. That's a 1:21.880. The number 90 Mercedes in Lewis Hamilton's car will put the DRS down. And it looks like they've used all their battery, and that's going to cost them. Yes, it does. But the Williams behind with the tow, not quite enough, sadly. Meanwhile, we're going on board with Emma Payne, who's found 2/10 across this lap. That would be enough to secure 8th, but I don't think, unless they found anything in this last sector, will be enough to move up into 7th or higher. Not quite this time, but a good improvement regardless. The Red Bull of Kevin Annihilator goes up to 4th there with a 22-1. And now all eyes are on the last few cars, one being Norton. And then we've got the Mercedes of Pichel. These two are in an epic fight here, only by 6/600ths separating these two. Norton moves to pole position out of nowhere. Pichel down into 6th place. But Norton shoots their way up into pole position. A fantastic lap time from the McLaren. And I think that's going to see them on pole position. So, wow. I did not expect that coming. I don't know about any of you lot, but I certainly did not. And if you want to keep up with the action, you can follow us over at hyper_tier_racing on Twitch, as you can see in the bottom left of your screen. So let's run through the grid then. There's only 13 drivers this evening, ignoring me at the bottom. It was a bit of a Kermit the Frog. We got Norton on pole position with Red Blue Seb just 4/10 off from securing pole position there. Also, we've got Kenzie Cool, all separated within 1/10. And it's Magnetic and Kevin Annihilator, Pichel and Beneb, Emma Mantis and Azure, and then finally we've got Desert, Pepsi and Pilu. My money is certainly on this 7 group. As we know with any form of racing, it is unpredictable, and if I was to put my money as to who I think is going to win and get on the podium, without too crazy shenanigans, I think it'll be the drivers in the top 7. So, we'll all make up the podium. How do you think? Comment below. Indeed, well done, Norton. Indeed, 1000% well done them. So yeah, I will be. I think I'll just, yeah, retire the car. So let's see what tyres everyone's gonna start on. Okay, seems to be an interesting combination of a bit of mediums, and some are running the hards. I can't imagine it's going to rain. I mean, this Grand Prix is situated in the middle of the desert in Qatar, but you never know. You never know. I mean, things can happen. I have seen rain a couple of times at UAE. Yes, that's very true. Armour King, very wise from one of our tier 1 veterans there. It will be, could be, a very big battle on the ERS front of things. It'll be very likely, with the high-speed nature of this circuit, everybody get very close together, and thus will be a battle of ERS conservation. On top of the rubber they start on, so obviously the guys and girls on the hardest compound will basically go for longest in the race at the beginning, but will be a little bit slower off the line now, whereas the drivers on the mediums will have a better launch, but not optimum grip, but it will start to catch up in a few laps. It looks like the top 4 on my screen. I can't actually see 5th, but it doesn't matter about 5th for now, as the formation lap is on. It's clear to see that the bugs causing it have been fixed. So, what I will do, for anybody who's wondering about my shenanigans, is I will let everybody race out of turn 1, and then when there's a quiet moment, I'll just retire my aim quietly on the stream, and nobody will notice, I hope. So, for now everybody, if you see the AI in last, don't worry, it's just an AI, so it shouldn't bother anyone. Right, we've got no, a bit of a contact there with Red Blue Seb. And both have been disqualified. I'm sure that'll be investigated by the stewards on the formation lap. So it is Kenzie Cool who leads the drivers on the lap itself. The highest, yes, the top 6 are all on mediums, and then along with 8th, 9th, and 12th with Beneb. I'm going to say Beneb until when I'm proven otherwise. The highest on the hards with Azure Desert Blue also starting on the hard tyres. Right, so then, as we can now see, these drivers slowly coming in today. It looks like a one stop of some kind, either hard mediums or medium softs. 2 stops are possible on the cards, but again, I do... Oh, as Kenzie's had a little spin. Kenzie's had a spin, not crashed anyone, but just had a little spin on the formation lap, trying to warm up those precious rear tyres around this circuit. So Magnetic is leading the formation lap, and if the formation lap is anything to go by, we could be in for a very exciting Grand Prix. I mean, Hungary had some iconic moments, such as Turn 1 and the battle with bug killers across the field, and the strategy that was involved. It is a pretty narrow circuit, but unlike Hungary, it's a fast one. Fasten your seatbelts for the Qatar Grand Prix. I've gutted about my last lap, had to lose out. Oh, bless you, Azure, bless you, man. Well, I hope the best for you and all your competitors this race, as we are queuing up now once my little AI pulls in. There we go. Right, we're all ready to go. 5 lights are coming on, as it's all a bit bugged. And away we go after the longest pause we've ever seen. A poor start by Red Blue Seb here, as Magnetic gets a good getaway, as does Kenzie Cool, but the coolest man at the moment is Norta with a great start in the lead. Really battle side by side, And it looks like Red Blue Seb will keep on to Pichul, who's still fighting at the nip end. Meanwhile, Kenzie is really trying to get onto ahead of Norton quickly. This is his championship opportunity, he knows it, but Norton's going to hang him around the inside. There's no way he's going to pull this off. They're going to go down to the corner, nearly 3 wide there, and a beautiful camera angle. These two are still going side by side, but I think it's Kenzie who finally has had the manoeuvre secured. What a brilliant drive from Norton and a fantastic opportunistic overtake from Kenzie. Magnetic in third, Red Blue Seb in fourth, Kevin Annihilator in fifth place, Pichul in sixth, Beneb in 7th. As there's a great scrap going on between Emma Payne and Azure, who I think Emma Payne has got the traction, but has secured the spot. So let's have a look. Anything interesting up front? Yes, there is. It looks like Magnetic is having a lot of pace and getting the better run out the corner. Brilliant defense by Norton, but not quite enough. There's a bit of contact, no damage to either car, but the Williams is through and is going to try and keep up with the Aston Martin driver. Will Norton have something to say? Will they fight back? Not yet, but maybe in the future. Meanwhile, further down, Red Blue Seb ran a little bit deep, but clearly it worked in their case, and that's put Pichul on the defensive, and Beneb's going to try and sweep round the outside on the hards as well. Brilliant stuff there from the Williams driver. Meanwhile, the other McLaren of Mantus is holding off Desert and 2 stalwarts of HTR Racing, and Mantus has successfully fended them off, as Azure's had to pit there. Unfortunately, some kind of contact we did not know. I'm sure the stewards will investigate. Right, so the race has calmed down a little bit. It has calmed down, but I don't want to miss any action, so I'll probably wait for like a VSC to retire or something, because then the safety car's already out. So I don't want to cause disruption in this race, as my AI has somehow jumped ahead, but obviously it is going to be there. Right, let's see at the front, nothing happening too much at the moment. The top 12 all relatively close to each other. Again, it is a bit of a slipstream fest at the moment, and I think our second lead change of the Grand Prix could happen in nearly as many laps. Magnetic pulls to one side. They're going to go for the manoeuvre around the inside. Kenzie backed off, and that sees the Williams up into the lead of this race. Is Magnetic over Kenzie? Cool. Norton standing third out of that 1 second window. That could be crucial for deciding their race. But we've got Kevin Annihilator in 4th, and then Red Blue Seb in 5th place. Right, let's see if there's any questions from you lot. Not at all at the moment, that's okay. So, with that said, let's go and find... Well, there's nothing quite going on the circuit, so what I'm gonna do is I will have to try and retire my own car. I'm doing this on a controller, so pray for my soul. So I will end up... I can't take control anyway. Oh. Ah, okay, well perfect. Oh, it's a nice obstruction there. Beautiful. Okay, so the lead, nothing's going on, no messages from the chat. I think Desert turned around a little bit wide on those hards, and that's given Emma Payne, who's on the medium shot compound, a great opportunity. There's a yellow flag. Our first actions happened, as sadly Pepsi has spun. I don't believe it was contact with anyone else, but it was a very close slipstream, so they could have been involved, as Emma Payne gets the manoeuvre on Desert 10, and they will need to run quickly, as Des is on the hards, so their pace might not be quick immediately, as those mediums are probably in perfect operating window right now. Let's see, nothing at the front too much, so let's smooch on down the order. Oh, Red Blue Seb had to take evasive action because Kevin Annihilator, I think, had a moment of oversteer, I think, a little traction moment, but due to the skill and experience of Kevin Annihilator, was able to keep it on the road. And that must be great news for Norton. But not so good news for Kevin, as there's a train down to 10th waiting to snap on the heels of the Red Bull driver, the only Red Bull driver in this race. So I think that's what we may keep our entertainment on. Actually, Emma Payne is the first driver with a penalty, sadly. They've done 3 track violations and thus have been given a 3-second time penalty. Meanwhile, Norton's not quite yet catched up. Let's see if there's going to be any overtakes in this train of cars. There is actually. Mantis is going to get a move on. Past Peachel, side by side. Very good racing here, using Beneb to try and keep themselves in the fight is the Mercedes, but the McLaren's going to go round the right-hand lane and successfully, as there was nearly contact, gets a good move done there on the Mercedes. Meanwhile, let's have a look further up this little train. Nothing has yet happened, but the gap between the top is about 5/10. If you want to know fastest times, Magnetic has the fastest time of the race so far with a 1:25.2, with the closest challengers being Kenzie Cool with a 25.9 and Red Blue Seb with a 25.9, who themselves are in a very good fight here for 5th place. The 4th, actually, I should say. There's not really changed all too much. Everybody's still nip and tuck in this little queue at the moment. So we will see how this goes, as nothing yet has happened. Right, here we go, down the DRS straight. Magnetic has pulled away, not quite a second in terms of the DRS detection point, which is just before the start-finish straight. But yes, it is enough. This is a great manoeuvre here. The Red Bull going side by side with the Alfa Romeo, but they've run a bit wide, have the Alfa, but they've kicked past the Red Bull and are now straight into 4th place. And I think the Red Bull is a bit struggling there, as Beneb goes for a bit of a dive bomb manoeuvre, but has secured it past the number 80 driver. There's a bit of argy-bargy, lost a bit of front wing, Mantis with penalties, Peachel with penalties. It's all gone a bit wrong here, and I'm sure the stewards will have to investigate. I believe it was Kevin Annihilator and Mantis involved. All that matters is that we captured the absolute perfect angle, and Red Blue Seb indirectly has been given track violation penalties, which is not good, not ideal. But the 2-stop can work medium hard, excuse me, so it is more than possible the drivers at this stage to recover. I'm checking to see if there is damage to which cars, not to the Red Bull, not to the AlphaTauri, and not to the Mercedes, but I think it is Mantis. Yep, there you've got damage, sadly. And yeah, it is Mantis there. So that is a big shame for McLaren in the Constructors' Championships. Meanwhile, Emma Payne, nice easy move with DRS, gets past Kevin Annihilator, and now I'm sure we'll be looking to get to Beneb, who is slowly losing pace with Red Blue Seb, which is exactly what they want, but they do need to make a 3-second gap behind in order to keep onto that 4th place due to getting through track corner cutting violations. Peachel nearly ran very wide, but was able to keep it on the road, and that's all that counts. I don't know, they're having a bit of damage here. They've let their teammate through, but I don't know whether they got some side pod damage, barge board damage from the contact with Mantis, perhaps. That could have been the case. But speaking of cases, we are going to quickly check the tyres that Mantis has gone to. He's gone to the hards. Beneb has now got a track corner cutting penalty, which is a big relief for Red Blue Seb, who has been quietly in the background, got a lot of battery to spare, and has kept up entirely with Norton, and I think they're going to get a manoeuvre done. It's a longer than you think straight around Qatar, but it's not long enough for the Alfa Romeo. Meanwhile, Emma Payne looking for a move on Bennett, but Bennett putting in a good defensive shift. Emma Payne nearly losing it there, but the Welsh person managed to hang it round the outside. A beautiful manoeuvre on the Williams on Warnish mediums now, so it's even more impressive stuff. The AlphaTauri is through up into 5th place here. That is exactly what Kevin Niley's needed, as Emma Payne has lost it slightly with a brilliant save though to keep the car on the road, and Beneb is using everything in their power to catch up, but unfortunately they've got hardly any power left against Emma Payne's 30%. I think the action, unless the people agree, disagree, is across this part of the circuit this evening. It seems to be in this little fight we've now got, which is turned into 5th place, as Magnetic has pulled out of the DRS window in the fight for the lead. Meanwhile, Red Blue Seb hasn't got enough to do, and unfortunately pressing the ERS all the time. That ERS management it is gonna cost them, I think. But having said that, they've used it all they can, and there's contact between the two drivers. No damage sustained, but that is surely going to affect the flow and the momentum for both during this race. And oh, there's contact! Oh, there was no love lost there. One bang, as they say, one times is funny, 2 times is annoying. And I think both will be very unhappy and taking it to the stewards there. I'm not going to say any opinions as to who was right or wrong, but I think it was just in the spur of the moment with 2 high quality tier 2 athletes, and I think that is a bit of a shame for both, as they both got taken out, were involved in the turn 1 collision at Hungary. So the little feud continues there between Bennett and Emma Payne. Meanwhile, we've got Red Blue Seb, who's done a bit of a corner cut there, but taking a few corner cuts there. But regardless of the corner cutting, right on the back of Norton, and I think without the DRS, Norton not quite being able to catch up at the start of the first 3 laps, it has played crucial as the Alfa Romeo looks to get past, but surprisingly, Norton's got enough battery to keep going and not even using it, so definitely all part of the master plan there. Kevin Annihilator has returned to their natural start position of 5th. Dez is up to 6th. Mercedes quietly working like a very good team, as Deza is in 6th with Peachel in 7th. And nothing else has happened. Meanwhile, the AI is sitting in 11th place, so that's something, and at the back of the grid, Azure is on the mediums, Mantis is on the hards, but without the DRS, doesn't matter what tyre you're on, if you don't have it, you're basically a bit defenseless. Both play hard on the circuit, but Mantis is through, and the Lithuanian driver will be looking to catch up to Pepski, as Kenzie Cool has got 3 seconds worth of time penalties in a bid to catch up to Magnetic. This is exactly what the Williams driver needs. All they need to do to win is, even if they let them through, as long as they stay in that DRS train or up to 3 seconds, Magnetic will win this race. They're both on the mediums, so they should be coming in at very similar times. And speaking of people who are doing similar times, the McLaren of Norton is absolutely pushing this through. As Red Blue Seb went a little bit wide there, a little bit later on braking, very keen to get past. But this time, without the DRS, I think, Red Blue Seb's not even pressing our power of that ERS, it's just the power of the drag reduction system in full work, and the Alfa Romeo is through. But will they be able to pull further away from Norton? That is the big question. Keep an eye on that, as well as the other battles in this race. as Zero's dropped off a bit there, sadly. Unfortunately for them. And I think that gap that we thought about, which was the fight for fourth, has kind of split into 2 or even 3 mini trains. And unfortunately, if Norton cannot keep up, they will miss out on that crucial DRS. Now, for those of you wondering, it's after this corner, it's on this straight is the DRS detection point, and you've got to be within a second, and I think this time Norton should be okay. But the two Mercedes here be working solidly as a team unit this evening. Very impressive from the tier 2 drivers, and so far not quite enough to catch up to Kevin Annihilator, but they've all burnt through their ERS. But Emma Payne, who hasn't yet, is slowly catching up as Pichul moves ahead of Deza. I'm not sure if that's the wisest thing from the team perspective, but then again, the mediums might be fine, and if they're still fine and Pichul can push on, then that's all that counts. I'm sure, as one of the league owners, Deza is a very clean and respectable racer, as I know they are. Meanwhile, further down the order, Mantis makes a good move with the power of DRS and ERS on Pepski there. Meanwhile, it's just one of those races where nothing's really going on, and to be fair, this is more like what Formula 1 normally is. But at least this time we got a good old scrap for the lead. I say this, and what will inevitably happen is there will be some kind of safety car for whatever reason, and that will again push forward. Basically, that will throw a stir in the wrench. And speaking of events happening, it's like I'm just asking for them at this point. Magnetic has come into the pit stop, so the recommended strategy is a one-stop. They learnt their lesson from Hungary and have slowed down efficiently. Let's see what tyres are going on to the cars from Oxfordshire. It's a pair of mediums. Okay, so it looks like the two-stop. I love this strategy. I loves it, I do. I love the idea of this aggressive two-stop. Norton, meanwhile, playing it going on to the opposite tyres, which is the hards, as is Pichul. So, with a two-stop coming from Magnetic, as my AI has actually got past a couple of people, but with all that in mind, that does mean that Kenzie Cool is kind of in a pressured state, because they're either going to do the one-stop, or they're going to go aggressive and countermatch Magnetic's work. Honestly, I don't know what I'd do if I was them, but one thing I would do is check the penalties, as I'm sure the drivers would like to know that. So, as it stands, if we flick it to lead a bit easier, Kenzie's got 3 seconds, I call them Red Bubble, I'm so sorry. Red Blue is in second place. Kevin Annihilator is provisionally in second, as they are within 3 seconds of Red Blue. Deza would stay in 4th, with Pilu in 5th, thanks to Emma Payne and Beneb having penalties. Magnetic is in 8th, but is the only driver who stopped. Norton would be in 9th place, and 10th would go to Mantis, 11th is 12th, Pichul, and 14th would be Pepski. So, as Kevin Annihilator's box is going to settle, there's something wrong there. Some hards going on to the Red Bull car, and hards going on to the Alfa Romeo car. Emma Payne is going for the hards as well, so most drivers are going for the advised one-stop strategy, as Beneb is fighting Pilu here, who has moved up to 3rd thanks to the majority of the field boxing. Beneb is on worn hards, but so is Pilu. These two can go longer. As a result, it's all part of their game plan after all. And let's see what they can end up doing. However, I would be a bit concerned if I was Beneb, because Pilu's got a lot of battery. They can deploy at any moment they want, if they want to try and pull a way out of the DRS train. But I think Kenzie Cool is going to stick, I think, to the one stop, but maybe an extended one so they'll have a little bit more tyre wear for the end of the race, or they're praying for a safety car, which could be the other strategy as well, as Pillar went a little bit wide there. I don't blame them with the tyre grip starting to fade, as Red Blue has pulled ahead of this queue. Meanwhile, Kevin Annihilator, there's not too much going on apart from the action of Norton trying to get past the legendary AI, of course. The Gonzo AI is making life a little bit of a nuisance, but it's all good practice for racecraft, am I right? Seems to be in the racing mode, obviously. It doesn't seem to back down, but Norton's going to have the power they need to get a nice swift move on here. That's going to power pass them through into 7th place. Meanwhile, these two are neck and neck with Mantis up into 10th place there. On Pichel using the AI to their advantage and their experience going round the outside. A lovely overtake. And that is them up the order. Meanwhile, Pepsi has overtaken Azure, who's just boxed for a pair of the hard compound rubber to go to the finish. Oh, meanwhile, Kevin Annihilator making a great move past Mantis there. As Pepsi has had a little lock up. Right, let's have a look at some of the comments from you all. There seems to be none, but thank you so much to the 6 of you in attendance. I appreciate the middle of the season is always where the audiences dip, so you guys are the truest fans watching our electric tier 2 action that can happen, of course. As Benab is coming in, I think this should be for a pair of medium compound tyres, and yes, it is. Going on to the Williams there, as Kenzie Cool has now got a 3-second time penalty. I think that's their second of the afternoon. I just want to check this one out. It is, and that has made life a little bit harder as Kevin Annihilator gets past the fake Red Bull. And Pichu has gone past as Mantis has had a spin, has gone wide, lucky to keep it out the wall, and there's a spin there from Mantis. I'm not sure what happened prior. Could have been some contact, you know, they were racing with Pichu and Emma Payne, but I'm sure it's going to make the stewards room a little bit busier this evening. Pichu dives for an aggressive manoeuvre, but Emma Payne using the AI car beautifully and slices and sways their way through. And I thought that is going to be very big in creating a gap, and Emma Payne just needs to pull away now. If they can keep up this pace, they might be able to get into the DRS trade of Kevin Annihilator. So the top 2 pit. Let's see what they're going to do, as Kenzie Cool of the Aston Martin team has got a pair of softs on. So it looks like Kenzie's also going aggressive, but in the other direction, boxing for a pair of softs. Unless they're going to take it to the end, which, if they can pull that off, they've definitely done a lot of good research here. As for the fight for the lead, Magnetic is out on Optimum Mediums versus a pair of soft tyres, which will be able to light up basically after the first sector or 2. Meanwhile, Desert 10 has gone on to a pair of mediums, and I think Emma Payne's going to try and manoeuvre. They've got the space around the inside of the corner, but Des has just been able to fend off with the mediums being a much grippier tyre. So, Pilu leads at the moment from Magnetic, and then it is Red Blue and Kenzie Cool. Azure sadly picked up a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting, as the closest fight, I think, is going to be on this queue right here. We have got Kenzie Cool up in 4th on the softs, so either they have got a lot of confidence, are praying for a safety car, or going for a 2-stop. Which, if so, that is a very brave call to do in a line with Magnetic. But it'll be interesting to see which one's faster, given the fact that I think with Magnetic strategy, they'll have to move on to another pair of tyres, which is the softs, whereas Kenzie, could they, I'm wondering, take those all the way to the end on 8 laps? It may be possible. It may be, and if so, that would be genuinely really impressive as Pilu leaves the lead and goes on to a fresh pair of medium compound tyres. So with that said, we have got moved to the interval section now. A nice bit of on-track action as Emma Payne is up to 7th thanks to the pit stop. Deza in 6th, Kevin Narlator 5th, Norton 4th, Kenzie Cool in 3rd, Mantis 10th, Peach 11th, Benev 9th, Red Blue 2nd, and Magnetic in 1st. But 4 lap hards versus 1 lap softs. The grip is going to favour on the Aston Martin side, and they're practically choosing a moment to strike at this point. The battery is also in favour of Kenzie as well. So let's see what they'll end up doing here. So I don't think there'll be a move down this straight, as it's a little bit too narrow to make a move on Red Blue Seb. I didn't say balloon this time, so bubble, that's always encouragement. Meanwhile, there is a little bit of scrap between the two owners of Hypertier Racing, Colonizer and Desert in the distance. And as we can see now, there's not much Red Blue Seb can do. Kenzie's on the fresher tyres, more grippier compound, but they won't last as long. And with the fastest lap of the race, it is no surprise that the Aston Martin is through and now has to overtake the Williams driver and pull a 6-second lead if they want to win this race. Meanwhile, I'm sure Norton would be pleased because at the moment they would be up into 2nd actually, with the penalties applied to 3rd, sorry, with the penalties applied to Kenzie Cool. And we will now focus on this little battle here for 5th. The two owners of HTR have done a fantastic job in obtaining the league throughout all these years, as Benev gets a time penalty. Kevin Annihilator on the hard compound, whilst Desert on the mediums, and Kevin is locked up. He's run wide, very clean between these two. And that sees Desert through into 5th place there on the mediums, and now they just gotta bolt away. Meanwhile, further up the order, the gap is 1.7 seconds between the Aston Martin, but fair play to Red Blue Seb. They are definitely holding on to this DRS train, to the Aston Martin's rear, which means they'll be able to get onto the DRS, as we can see. And I don't think they'll go for the overtake, but simply just wanting to keep up with the pace of the Aston Martin. Meanwhile, Norton takes a good 4th place spot, whilst Desert 10 is in 5th, with Kevin Annihilator coming back for round 2 with the DRS open. Very clean move around the outside, and that sees the Red Bull jump the Mercedes, but the Mercedes has gone for a tighter line, is going to try the outside, has made it work. What a fantastic move by Desert, and that's put them back into 5th place here. Some brilliant entertainment as Azure in the background gets past Pepsi, who's pitted off those medium tyres. So they'll probably be boxing for softs, I suspect. Excuse me. But Peachel has set the fast lap of the race there with a 1:24.8. Meanwhile, Pepsi has gone to softs. Meanwhile, at the front, Kenzie has closed up. Red Blue Sub, unfortunately, is not quite close enough. But if these two have a little ding-dong, that would be a bad thing. The Aston Martin right on the back of the Williams driver. Both seem to be doing a 2-stop, but the race will swing for each driver differently. So, this is where their individual strategies will come back, as Kenzie's got another 3-second time penalty. That could be costly, having 9 seconds worth of penalties. That is quite a lot indeed, and Magnetic knows they've just got to stay within 9 seconds, and they will be very likely winners of the Qatar Grand Prix. Meanwhile, Kevin and I to go for another move around the outside. This time make sure Desert can't do the tighter line and a switchback, and the British driver is past the other British driver. But they're still going. Dazza's really pushing for it. But not meant to be at the moment. So it is Kenzie Cool in the lead at the moment of the Qatar Grand Prix. But they are on soft tyres, which are going to degrade at some point before the end of this race. I don't know when, but I don't think they're going to last particularly long. And thankfully for any Alfa Romeo fans in the audience, Red Blue Seb has jumped into the DRS train, which means they are within a second behind of Magnetic. If they can just keep it all the way to the end, they will be able to benefit massively, and at the end of the race they will have the most grip. Plus, they do not have to pit, so Magnetic is coming in now. They are confident with the strategy they've got, so let's see what happens. They're going to peel into the pit lane. I have a very good feeling it will be the soft tyres, unless if something's gone wrong. That moves Norton up into third place. The Williams driver is in. Fresh pair of softs are on. So, what is Magnetic going to do? Let's see. I think their teammate will come out ahead. I think my AI's group will definitely not catch them up. So, Magnetic has got a hunt now until the end of the race on those lap softs. And it's going to be in this period while Kenzie's tyres are, starting to degrade. And Magnetics are fresh, as we can see them with a little bit of sliding on there from the Aston Martin. That will be the strategic gold mine for the end of this race. The fastest lap goes to Peachall there with a very good lap time. And as such, Dessa's up to 4. The order now stands as Kenzie Cool in the lead, who doesn't have to pit, but is very likely to pit. Red Blue 7 second, Norton 3rd, Deza 4th, Kevin 5th, Emma 6th, Pillow 7th, Benab 8th, Magnetic 9th, Peachall in 10th, Azura 11th, Mantis 12th, and Pepsi in 13th. So those softs have lost a bit of time, as the Aston Martin has gone down by 1.4 seconds over their best, which definitely indicates a bit of a tyre drop-off. Meanwhile, this little cute going on here, as the Aston Martin of Pillow, fresh and mediums, is enough to get past the older hard compound tyres, and I think Pillow should be able to romp away. As Emma Payne is a bit of sliding there, a bit of putting the power down, but has ultimately kept it nice and very good driving there to keep it into a solid 7th place at the moment. Meanwhile, Magnetic is on the charge. Again, they just got to be within 6 seconds of Red Blue, 3 seconds of Red Blue, and 9 seconds of Kenzie Cool to win. Actually, make that 6, as Red Blue has got another track extension violation here, as Mantis now on fresh pair of softs goes for the fastest lap of the race. Meanwhile, these unfortunately Red Blue Seb, this is both an unfortunate and a fortuitous moment, because Kenzie's got a lot of ERS, but they are very brave if they're going to try and stick it out all the way to the end of the race. Ember Payne and Benev and Pepsi have all got 3-second time penalties for track extension. That's because the softs, they're not going to last as long. As we saw with, well, as we know in the game, the mediums could do about, what, 12-13 laps, roughly? So the softs are going to be half of that, so they're going to start to lose their cool. If Kenzie can pull this off, that would be spectacular, having to avoid a pit stop entirely. But we'll see, as Magnetic is certainly applying the pressure, sending a message to these two saying, come on lads, show me what you got, with the provisional fastest lap of the race, as Red Blue Seb has caught up into the DRS train, which means those hards will be much better suited throughout the rest of this race. They will not have any tyre wear issues, maybe apart from the very last lap of the Grand Prix. Meanwhile, Norton's in a very comfortable, very good 3rd place there, as these two, the old guards of Hyper-Tier Racing, have had a great scrap here for what is currently 4th place. but Deza there getting a little bit out of shape during that complex as Pilu gets a 3-second time penalty, and as such they're going to miss out on the chance to go for the overtake as Kevin's got a lot of battery that is able to be deployed, and as such the Ineos Petronas Mercedes is going to go to the right hand side, open the DRS flap, and they are through into 4th place. Meanwhile, the Red Blue Seb is getting closer and closer, and Kenzie's tyres could be going off, but with Magnetic only pulling about a second a lap at the moment, it's not looking encouraging, especially with all the amount of traffic they have to clear. But let's have a little look at penalties. So, Kenzie Cool in the lead, but with all the penalties, Norton will actually be the race winner as it stands. As long as they can keep within 6 seconds of Red Blue Seb, they will be the winner of the race. I think it'll be Deza up to second, with then Kenzie and Red Blue in the next 2 positions. Then it'll be Kevin as Emma Payne is retired, and a safety car has come out at the final opportune moment, and I think I know what everyone's going to do. Box, box, box for a pair of softs. I think this has to be the way. Kenzie opting to stay out. Red Blue Seb knows the strategy. Norton knows the strategy. What's Deza going to do? Are they going to pit? Yes, they're going to pit, as is Kevin. As Pilu is not, so the Aston's choosing not to. Beneb is, but Magnetic is not, although they're already on a pretty good... Oh! Pichul has sped under the safety car, and thus will be getting a drive-through penalty. Emma Payne, I'm so sorry to hear. That is a second DNF in a row from the Grand Prix series. Right, everyone's on softs, practically everyone at this point. Pilu, though, opting to stay on the mediums. Now, those mediums are only 8 laps, so they're not necessarily spring chickens, nor are those softs spring chickens either. There will be, however, 2 or 3 racing laps after Abu Dhabi 2021. That is what has been programmed into these games. So if the others want to have a sniff, they'll need to absolutely catch up now as fast as they can. Otherwise, this gamble will be mostly for nothing, and they would have lost 2 or 3 positions. Pichul will be in for softs now. Azul will be in for softs. Mantus will be in for softs, I bet. And Pepsi will be as well. So let's see then. It is Kenzie Cool in the lead. I'm going to turn that graphic off there. On 9 lap softs. Pilu is in second, the Aston Martin teammate of Kenzie, on 8 lap mediums. Magnetic is third on 4 lap on softs, and then it's the start of the drivers who did not pit. That being Red Blue Seb, Norton, Desert 10, Kevin Annihilator, Beneb, Pilu, who did, Azure and Mantis, with Pepsi running out of softs, and that's how to go on the mediums to the finish. This is going to be interesting. If you've fallen asleep, I encourage you to wake up, all 6 of you in the chat. This is going to be a cracking end to the end of the race. You know what I mean? This is going to be a great end to the Grand Prix. I think with all these drivers there will be 2 racing laps, however, as permitted in the game, so everyone else needs to get a bit of a move on. I think everyone else does need to make a maneuver. Everybody except for the top 8 who are in. Peachul's been given a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting, as has Mantis, in their desperate bid to try and catch up to the leaders. It's a short lap around Qatar as well, so it will be important. While there's not much going on, let me just quickly show you all the accidents that have happened. There's so many of them I can't keep track. There are like too many accidents and warnings, but it'll all be handy for the steward investigation later, which we want to give a massive shout out to the stewarding team for all the hard work they do across this tier, and tier 1 and no assist. You get a couple of Norton fans in the chat, and they are definitely within a great shout of winning this race. That is no denying that one, considering they don't yet have any penalties. So let's quickly get the stats ready, as I think Mantis should be going back to the queue. Pepski should, but I think the safety car will be coming in this lap. Yep, that is confirmation. Safety car is in this lap. I think it will be, given how we do have 2 racing laps in this game. So let's see what happens here. As it is, as I suspected. So, nearly all bar Pepski have returned. Sorry in advance if my AI does cause a bit of problems to anyone behind. It's on 10 lap meters, it should be fine. Right, let's have a little look then, as it's down to Kenzie now to control the race from here on out. Whenever they decide past the safety car line, it's a quick one. It's a very fast getaway from the Aston Martin driver, and the chase is on with 2 laps to go here of the Qatar Grand Prix. As it moves up into 10th place, Kenzie goes all the way to the line, making sure nobody catches up to the slipstream, with Magnetic up into 3rd place on those slightly newer softs. Red Blue Seb unfortunately missed the queue there to go. They're a little bit out of it momentum wise and flow, but Magnetic's just got to get past. Unfortunately, there's been a spin in the back. I think it is Beneb, sadly, but Pilu putting on a good defence for his teammate. But all it takes from the Aston Martin is 9 seconds, so if Magnetic can stay within 9 seconds and 2 laps, they're going to win as they had a bit of a lock-up under the pressure. Meanwhile, behind, Norton's looking for a very good opportunity here to get past. And we have got... Oh! As Red Blue everyone's wide there. Des has to take evasive action, as the strategy for Aston Martin has worked, as Kenzie has pulled away a gap out of DRS. But is it going to be enough for 9 seconds? Desertan has got past Norton in the background there. Meanwhile, there's a yellow flag. I think there's a spinner. I think it might have been Beneb, sadly, for them. As Magnetic, immediately Magnetic across the screen, but that's just internet connectivity issues. As now they're going to deploy all that overtake in a desperate bid to try and get past. They're not going to go for the move. They seem to be locking up. Seem to be under a little bit of pressure on the collar. And the Williams should now get a manoeuvre. If it would be them, it'll be one of the 2 cars behind. But yes, as opposed to those worn mediums, the Williams driver does not pull it off. And this is great news for Kenzie Cool on the final lap of the race. But Magnetic is desperate. Oh, there's contact there. Red Blue Seb banged a little bit there with Desert. I hope there's no damage to either car, but that will cost them in their race, especially Desert, who does not have a single penalty. Here is the time board. Desert would be in 2nd as it stands, with all the penalties applied, and maybe 3rd. As Pilu is doing a great defensive job for the Aston Martin, Aramco Congress and Formula 1 team. There's a yellow flag behind. I think that might have been Red Blue Seb, sadly, dropping out of this fight for the podium. Stroke win, as Desert runs a little bit wide there. So I'm sure the student team will have to investigate. But coming through the final corner now, Kenzie Cool, final sector I should say. Magnetic is doing all they can, but if Desert can get a move on, they can take the win of this Qatar Grand Prix, but it needs to be a close one for Magnetic. He needs to get this done. But at the moment, it's looking good as we come round the final corner now. Magnetic has done it. He's got past on the final corner as Pilu gets a little bit of a tap there from Desert, but Kenzie Cool wins on the road. But Magnetic, with all the penalties applied, is the provisional Qatar Grand Prix winner. Desert with a great drive from the back of the field to the front in 2nd. Kevin Annihilator actually sneaks their way into 3rd. Kenzie Cool in 4th. Pilu with a great defensive drive at the end in 5th. Norton in 6th. I think there might have been a bit of a collision with Red Blue Seb, I'm not too sure. Pepski with a great recovery to 8th. Azure 9th, Beneb 10th, Mantis 11th. Red Blue Seb, I can only imagine they'd be deflated at this stage in 12th, and Pichul in 13th. Well, this has certainly been an interesting day, hasn't it? I certainly think for for HTR. It has been a very action-packed day. In terms of the Tier 2 standings, Kenzie still keeps on to that championship lead, but I think, in terms of who'll be moving up into second, it could be either Peachel or Norton, and Magnetic is certainly going to push themselves into the fight for third stroke second place. This podium seems to take a little bit longer to load, annoyingly. It's just one of those days where the animation that we normally use to show the podium decides, nah, I just don't want to load. In the meantime, well, so as after the podium celebrations took a little bit longer to load, this is fantastic for Aston Martin, who will definitely be on top of the Tier 2 constructors now with a very high amount of points. And as the lobby ends, I think does this stream. It is, though we don't even get to see the results. So any collisions on the last 2 laps, unfortunately, were not recorded due to the game, what's the word, being a bit funny and not showing them all. I've been Marlboro. If you want to catch up with more action within this championship, we will be going live next week on our non-assist Tier 1 and Tier 2. Tier 1 will be on Monday night at 7 PM British time. And yeah, it's been a great stream. Thank you all for attending, and we'll see you next week with some more Tier 2 action.